I have way too much paper accumulating in my studio. These are paper packs that only have a few of each one left. I have them in drawers and bins, and I really don't like it to accumulate this much. I need to start making some projects so that I can get everything more neatly stored in my studio. Let me take you over. There's Lily. Hi, Lily. There's my book press. Take you over to how I like my paper to be stored. This is my goal.
So what I've decided to make is a couple of these little booklets that have scrapbook paper in them that can just be pulled out and used. I think these would be so perfect for Happy Mail, and the backs are really pretty. They're closed with twine, and so I'm just going to show you how I made these. It's very simple. All you need is a stack of your scrapbook paper that you want to cut down, and then I'm using cardstock for the outside little cover here, and I have a ton of craft paper left over from a huge order of blank mini albums that I just shipped out to somebody, and I want to use these up. And then for on this one, I used rub-ons, and on this one, I used stamps. So you can either use rub-ons if you have them on hand, or get out your stamps and play with them. So let me show you how easy this is to make, and I'll give you the dimensions as we go along. The first thing you want to do is cut down your paper. Now you can cut it down to whatever size you want. I kind of like this size because it fits really nicely in your hand, and it'll fit into most projects. So these are 4 by 5.5. You could also do 4 by 6. So, and this, let's see, this has about 30 to 35 sheets inside, and I think that that's a really nice thickness. So the first thing you want to do, obviously, is take all your scraps out and just cut them down to size and make as many as you want, 30 to 35 per booklet. I wanted to show you though, um, you can get 6 of these out of one sheet of 12 by 12 paper if you cut it correctly. So if you put your paper, if it has words on it, put it as if you were reading it. So it goes in this orientation, and then just cut at 4 inches 3 times. So 4 inches, 4 inches, and 4 inches. That gives you 3. And then just turn it and cut at 5.5 and 5.5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all you're left over with are these, which you can certainly save. I'm going to save these for collaging and tags and whatnot. So you can get six sheets out of one piece of paper, which is really a good use of your paper.
Okay, so I have a couple of piles cut here of my scrapbook paper, and I didn't really even count them. All I did was measure it, and they're about the same height. So I made enough for two to make 2 of these. And so now we need to do the cover here. And let me show you what it looks like when it's open. That might help. It's very simple. I mean, this is a project that you could crank out easily. You could mass make these, but this is what the cover looks like. So it's just made with craft paper, and this one I stamped on, and actually there's a rub-on right there, and then it has a gusset that we're going to fold, and that's all you do. Let me show you and give you the measurements. So this is 5.5 by 5.5. It's just a square with rounded edges. So let me cut this, and I'm going to make 2. Actually, I don't need this open. Five and a half, and one more. Okay. I have plenty of scraps for making more too. And then what I like to do is use my scoreboard, but if you don't have a scoreboard, you can just make a pencil line and fold it neatly as you can. And here's my tool. Here we go. Let's see. This one I scored at 1 and 1.5. So I'm going to put it in, and it doesn't matter since it's a square. It doesn't matter which way it goes. It all works, and I'm going to score it 1 and 1.5 for both of these. 1 by 1.5. And obviously, if you wanted to put more paper in, then the width of your paper determines the width of your gusset. So if your paper is thicker or thinner, just measure across like this, and that's how wide your gusset needs to be. So my paper is about a half of an inch thick, and so my gusset is a half of an inch. Okay, let's put this away because I like to clean up as I go. That's just me. And you're going to fold fold away from the dented edge. So when you're scoring, here's the dented edge. Common sense tells you kind of want to fold it this way, but you don't. You want to score it this way. And that way your paper is less apt to feather. You're training your paper. And I like to crease it because we want a nice little crease like that. Score it, or burnish it, I mean. And then I do like to round 2 of my edges. You don't have to, but I'm sorry, 1 of the edges. I am just rounding this top one with a 1/2 inch rounder. You can do both if you want. You can do neither and leave it square. Totally up to you. Okay, so I'm just going to round 1 corner. On this one, I was talking too much and I rounded both corners. Not a big deal. Okay. And yes, that is how I want it. And next you want to get out your stamps or your rub-ons and let's decorate these.
Okay, so I have out my messy little mat because I don't like to get ink all over my board, my cutting mat here. I have some black ink. I'm going to do mine in black just like I did this one, and then kind of ink over it to get a little more of a two-tone. But of course you can use any color you want. You can use multicolors. It would be pretty to have a collage of all different colors on here, or to use vintage photo color. But you know, do you do whatever you like. I do have a set of Tim Holtz stamps that I use quite often. This is where I got the word create here. And I really love these because they're grungy, and I love the words artist, story, inspire, etc. I couldn't find any markings on here in terms of what this is called, but there's an MM2 at the bottom, and same with here. THMM 102, but there's no name. It's just Tim Holtz Collection Stampers Anonymous, in case you want to get these. I use these quite a bit. So I have these out for my little label that's going to go on the flap, and then I have some border stamps. I thought I might put one along here if I find one that is the right size. Of course, I have my acrylic blocks, and I also have a bunch of just random stamps that I just have in an old Whitman sampler candy box. That a lot of these I got from Your Creative Studio. They're just random loose stamps. So that I'm going to leave these open here and just randomly collage here. So the first thing I'm going to do is the word create, and these stamps, as much as I love them, they're a little persnickety because if you ink them too much, like right here, I can see I inked the T too much, and there's T down in the groove where there isn't supposed to be. It's really difficult to get just the right amount of ink on these. Sometimes I don't put enough ink, and it's just, yeah, they're a little persnickety, but that's okay. I think I have enough ink on here. And I'm just going to put the word create here. Yeah, that worked out great. Doesn't always. And just a little quick tip for you. You really should clean your stamps afterwards. I always do. I have stamps that I've had since the 1980s. It's just part of me being organized, which works well for my brain. But you really, want to take care of your supplies. I have been using this. I don't even know if this is still available. I've had this since the 80s. It's a stamp cleaner by the Personal Stamp Exchange. Are they even around anymore? I don't remember. But you can use baby wipes, but I love this stuff because you just tap it on, and oops, I tapped some over here, but that's okay. We want this to be grungy anyway. And then in my little miscellaneous stamp box here, I have, in case my stamp is really grungy, I don't think I need it now, but this is just a painter's brush. A painter's, I don't know what you call this, guys. But you stick this on a paintbrush, and it's for cutting your corners, cutting in with your paint. Maybe somebody can tell me in the link below if you're a painter what this is for. But you can see you can see the ink on it. If I have a lot of ink on it, I might just rub it with this. But usually this stuff or a baby wipe is in a paper towel is enough for me to kind of get it somewhat clean again. But that's just me. I just have to be organized with my supplies. I like to take good care of them, and they just last longer. So that's relatively clean. Again, I'm not shooting for perfection. I'm just trying to clean it up just a little bit. Just a little tip for you. So the next thing I'm going to do is try a little border here. I have these border stamps. And my acrylic block is a mess. I need to clean this up one of these days too. But I seem to be missing the one I want. Oh well, I'll use this one. I think this will fit on there really well. And I don't know what these are. I didn't save the packaging, so I apologize. And let's see. I think that'll look kind of nice on there. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think that this would look pretty in a different color. It's going to go along the spine. And let me find a color here. And again, in terms of taking care of your supplies, these petal point color boxes, I have had for 40 years. I've had them since the 1980s. Some of them are starting to deteriorate a little bit, but for the most part, they're still in really good shape. So I'm going to try this slate blue. I do know that these color boxes are still available, and I absolutely love these. I like the shape of them because you can kind of get around corners if you want. You can pull them off. They have a nice little handle, and gosh, the ink just lasts forever. They're really good qualities. Color box by Petal Point. It's pigment ink. I don't get a commission on any of this stuff, but sometimes it helps to hear what other people have had success with in terms of supplies. There. I like that. So that will be pretty on my spine. And then, so keep in mind your orientation. So for me, I like the curve at the top. So this is going to be the way it's going to go. And I'm just going to collage randomly from my box here in black and just collage all over this. Okay, and that's really all there is to it. Once all of this ink dries, then I usually go through with my blending tool and I just sort of distress it a little bit, especially around the edges like this, to so it's not as stark, just plain cardstock, and you see the difference. It just looks it looks a lot nicer. Adds an extra element if you do that. Okay, I'm going to clean up all of my stamps that are in a pile up here, and then I'm going to quickly just show you my rub-ons that I like to use, and we'll do a second one sped up. All right, my stamps are all cleaned and put away. I feel like I can move on to the next step. That's the way my brain works, although my hands are awful, but I don't care about my hands. So the next thing I wanted to show you, and I'm going to try to remember to put the links below for all the products that I've used here, those that are still in circulation if I can find them. But these are my favorite rub-ons of all time. These are Architectures by Seven Gypsies, sevengypsies.com. You're probably familiar with a lot of their products already. The thing that I love about these is they, first of all, you get a ton of them in one large sheet. They're very good quality, and also you can rub these onto fabric and wood. I've made some fabric junk journal covers with these, and they're just fabulous. I love these. I know you can still get them. This particular one was something to do with gardening. It doesn't, again, I don't see a name. What's with all these people who don't want you to buy their stuff because they don't put names on it? Anyway, this is what the cover looks like. And I think they have 3 different kinds available right now, and this one, the last I looked, was still available. So for this one, I just get my popsicle stick. I mean, you guys know how to do rub-ons. And I just select one of these and rub it on randomly. And with these, where these are already collaged, you can quite often just go ahead and put whatever's on here. But I don't think anybody's going to want to buy this with a moose on it unless you're from Maine. See, I would love having a moose on it. By the way, when my husband and I were out by the coast the other day, a black bear ran out in front of the car. It was in the farming area of Maine over by the coast where there's blueberries, tons and tons and tons of blueberry fields, and he ran out in front of us. And my husband's not from Maine, he's from California, so that was quite exciting that he got to see. He's seen a bear and a moose now, so that was fun. But anyway, you know how to do rub-ons. and I've smudged here, so I'll probably just put this one back on there and do the rest of this. But the thing I wanted to say about the rub-ons, the only problem with rub-ons is you can still feel it, and they're not really durable. These are going to scratch and rub off. So I want to show you just one more product that you might want to consider. I'm not encouraging that you go out and buy tons of stuff, but this is something that will help protect the rub-ons so they don't get scratched off. And it's called Matte Archival Finish. It's a mineral spirit acrylic. It isn't an aerosol. I'm not going to spray this in my studio. I'm going to go out on the open porch and do it because it's the fumes are really bad. But where's my other one that I did? I've lost it. Hold on. I'm looking everywhere for it. It's right here. See, this is why I have to stay organized because, yeah, I'm just a ditz sometimes. Oh my word, I turned off the camera, searched my whole craft room, it's sitting right here. So anyway, this is the one that I did with rub-ons, and then I also distressed it a little bit. Isn't that flower so beautiful? And then I sprayed it with that acrylic finish, and you can't, you don't even know it's there. You do a light one. You have to get the matte in order to do this, but isn't that so pretty? It's just really protected it. So that's another little tip if you want to do rub-ons. So the last step is just to take your paper, take your cover, and you do want to put something around it to hold it. I do prefer to use the twine. You can use a pretty piece of ribbon or anything you want. Of course, use whatever you would like to use. But if you use ribbon, it kind of covers up your pretty flap that you just created. So I do prefer the twine because you can still see your flap and the pretty decorating. And you do want to tie it relatively tightly so that it holds your paper in as much as possible. Of course, I can't do this stretched out here. Sorry, there we go. Had to leave the camera for a second. And I'm terrible with bows. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay, so there's our little closure, if you want to call it that, and it's nice and tight at the top of and the bottom so that your papers aren't just going to fall out when you put them on. So I do hope that you enjoyed this brief tutorial. Well, the tutorial was a little longer than I expected, but just remember that it's just a couple of steps. You just cut up your scraps, cut your little covers, decorate them however you want, and then wrap them around with some twine. It's really just a few steps. I do hope you try it, and I'll see you in the next video.